Welcome back to Kicking It with Kenya. So in our early episodes, we were talking about the Marvel Universe and the announcement of Phase 4 movies. We touched a little bit about Blade. Now, movie that people were kind of feeling about is Black Widow. Now, this guy over here wants to debate me about Black Widow because, I have mixed feelings about it, but yeah, the only reason why I feel the way I feel is because with everything being announced, right? We got Doctor Strange, we got the Eternals, we have Blade, we have X-Men, we have Captain Marvel, we have all these souped up people. And then it's like, I feel like Black Widow is like kind of misplaced and like dated in a sense. Like, probably would have been a better movie if it was like earlier into the phases. Like, if it would have came out when we first introduced the Black Widow in like Iron Man 2. If Black Widow would have came out after that, I probably would have been a little bit more enthusiastic about it. But right now in Phase 4, it just feels like it's just there. Like, it doesn't make sense with everything that's going on. She's dead. So I don't understand what we're doing. I get the multiverse thing, but I don't get what we're doing with Black Widow at this point.
Well, you're giving her origin story.
But why?
Because she's one of the most popular characters in the MCU.
Really?
Yes, she's one of the most liked characters in the MCU. Scarlett Johansson is the highest paid actress in Hollywood, I believe, and she's a fan favorite. So it only makes sense that she would get a solo.
But then why
film.
now?
Well, now because we've seen the success of solo females leading film with Captain Marvel, with Wonder Woman.
But they were supers.
They were, but they're also... Marvel was never necessarily, I believe, 100% confident in a female-led film until the success of Wonder Woman. That's why once Wonder Woman was successful, they decided to bring in Captain Marvel. And Captain Marvel, in my opinion, was successful because it was a tie-in to Endgame.
And because honestly, Captain Marvel, if I had to choose between Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel, I'm choosing Wonder Woman hands down. It was way better than it was with Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if Captain Marvel came out on its own without the tie... And without the whole, you have to see it to understand Endgame, which really didn't. Like, you kind of could have got the gist. Mm-hmm. But it's like, if it wasn't for that, that movie standing by itself was kind of whack.
But it's also because Captain Marvel is not an interesting character. Captain Marvel as a character is very one note and bland. Captain Marvel, when we first meet her, comes off as just this bratty, powerful, spoiled,
like, clueless
chick. This one that just wants to punch things. I have this power. I just want to fight. And then she goes, her story arc, she goes from being a powerful person who doesn't know her where she comes from to a more powerful person who was lied to. But there's never any sense of vulnerability with her because she's invulnerable. She can't be hurt. So anytime she's fighting somebody, we're looking at it like, well, you can punch her, you can't kill her. She's none of these people she's facing is a threat to really beat her. So there's never a sense of how are you going to overcome.
And that's why I don't like Superman like
Wonder Woman gave you that because Wonder Woman had to fight a god at the end of her movie. But Wonder Woman, from a story arc perspective, we grow from this naive, likable woman to this person that realizes that though human beings are flawed, they're still worth fighting for because they're still good. And not everyone is good, but there are good out there. And with Black Widow, there's more of a character interest than with Captain Marvel. With Black Widow, you have somebody who's very layered, somebody who we don't know her past, but we've seen her when we're first introduced to her just be this stoic, we're not sure if she's good or bad type character, to all the way to Endgame, to somebody who just lets all her vulnerabilities show. We've seen the connection she has to Hawkeye and them referencing a lot of things like Budapest in the past that we've never seen on screen. So Black Widow's a more likable character than Captain Marvel was. And Black Widow, I feel like there's more of a story to tell with her origin. And Endgame, I'd argue, was her best performance. Scarlett Johansson's best performance is the character, and Black Widow's, well, not best showing, but her most likable showing, to the point where, because when she died, it was a lot of sympathy with a lot of people, and the sacrifice was a very powerful moment. So now to give her her own origin story, Though I do agree it came too late because I feel like she should have been
Yeah,
the first
dated
solo
now.
superhero female to get it before Captain Marvel. I still feel like it could be a successful product, but I definitely feel like it would be a good movie because there's so much you can do with it. And I feel like the action, you can keep it grounded in a Winter Soldier type way, which in my opinion, pound for pound, is still the best MCU movie, in my opinion. The Winter Soldier works because it's not just because it's grounded in reality, but because everything that's involved in it, the action around it complements the story so well, it works. Black Widow, all we need is a villain that is interesting enough. And if it is Taskmaster, like it's rumored to be, it'll be interesting to see how we tell the story. The only problem I have with it is the placement. Because we know Black Widow's no longer here, and we know Taskmaster hasn't been in any other movies, we know what's going to happen.
Right.
So the
it just
placement,
felt wedged in.
Yeah, the placement I feel like is off, but I don't feel like I feel like it's fair to say Scarlett Johansson's earned getting her own movie. She should have been got it. That's the only problem.
Because I don't want it to be like another like spy-esque movie. It just don't flow at this point in the movie. If it's like another spy-esque, like the spy movie with gadgets and spin kicks after we done just seen Captain Marvel smash a whole plane with aliens in it, like it just doesn't make sense at this point. Do we know the order? But do we know the order these movies are releasing yet, or no?
I think Black Widow's scheduled for May 2020. I think that's the next Marvel movie that's coming.
After which ones?
That's the next Marvel movie that's coming.
Oh, that's the next one.
I believe so. I believe May 2020 is coming. I could be wrong, but I believe they believe that's the next one. But what you just said is exactly why I feel like Black Widow would be welcome, because it's different. It's not going to be the same. The issue that Marvel movies tend to fall in is they become very formulaic. They become very, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get the Marvel comedy. You're going to get the action. Black Widow can offer you something that I feel like worked with the Winter Soldier, because the Winter Soldier was different. It didn't feel like everything else. We already have Thor. We already have so many powerful people, Captain Marvel. We're going to see those type of movies. Black Widow is going to be something that's more grounded. And I feel like it's more relatable. And as much as we can say, you know, we see all these powerful characters and blah, 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 blah. If you take away the Avengers movies, what are the most successful movies in the MCU? The Iron Man series. Iron Man is, he has power. He has a powered suit, but he's human.
His power is his brain.
Right? Captain America has had success. Captain America, the last one, has grossed $1 billion. Captain America's, the movies have been hailed by critics, very grounded in reality. Black Panther, to an extent, is pretty much grounded in reality as well. Like, again, he has a suit that enhances that, but he's a human.
But we all both know why Black Panther did $1 billion. It was definitely the hype around it,
but at the end of the day, it was different. It was different than just the formulaic. We've seen the Thor. We've seen, like, the powerful. It's different. Even if you check the DCEU, Batman has no powers, right? But The Dark Knight is still the highest grossing movies for the DC universe. And it's no superpowers in it.
So do you think Black Widow is going to do $1 billion?
No. But I don't think $1 billion should be the benchmark for success.
I think and I should never ask that, because like I feel like the only reason why people are like, oh, if it don't do $1 billion, it's not successful, which is kind of messed up. Not every movie does $1 billion, but because we're so spoiled by Marvel, and I think even Marvel itself is now spoiled by how much money they're making, anything less than like dang near $900 million seems like a flop to people.
Because people misinterpret how you judge a flop. By definition, a flop means you lost money.
You didn't make your money back.
That means you did. If you don't beat your budget, or you lost money, Hollywood's not in the business of breaking even. Breaking even is not what you want. No. You want a profit. So if your movie does $300 million off of $20 million budget, that's a success. If your movie does $300 million off a $250 million budget, that's not good. No. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the difference. You know what I mean? And it's a big debate you have with Shazam, where Shazam didn't gross as much as any other DCEU movie by far, but it had the smallest budget out of all of them. So whether you get a Shazam 2 is also, you have to look at this. You have to look at this also. You have to look at how it performs post its release. Shazam and Alita Battle Angel are two examples of movies that I feel are movies that people missed out on in the theater, but they caught later on and they ended up liking. Myself included. I didn't see Shazam in the theater. I just saw Shazam last week because
it's on TV already.
No, I got it online.
Oh,
but I watched it. But when I watched it, I said, okay, it's not too bad. So for me, it's like, okay, if they did a sequel to this, I'd go see it. But I didn't see Shazam in the theater. But I'm like many fans that missed it in the theater that saw it later that actually said, you know what?
That's
I
how
would
you
go
felt
see
about Doctor Strange. Because I like Doctor Strange.
I didn't see Doctor Strange in the theater. But again, it was because I didn't really care about the character. I didn't care to see it. I didn't see Ant-Man in the theater. I saw Ant-Man when it was on online, and I thought Ant-Man was a great heist story. It was better than I thought it was better than it had any right to be. And I ended up seeing Ant-Man and the Wasp in the theater. I didn't like it as much as the first one.
No, the Ant-Man and the Wasp was kind of boring.
Yeah, but my point is I went to see the sequel because I caught the original later. So I feel like when you have that connection from a fan standpoint of I'm gonna go check this out if they do a sequel, I feel like that's a little bit of what Black Widow has in terms of fan interest. She's a character that already has a fan base.
Right.
So it makes sense that she should get a solo movie. And I feel like if you were going to go with a grounded character, she's the better choice than Hawkeye.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want to go to a movie and see another like Ultraviolet, like in like the MCU universe with like kind of like a Charlize Theron-esque movie. Like for all that, like we don't have to do this. It just feels dated, but also I don't know what the scene is going to look like. I don't know the storyline yet, so maybe I'm just going off of the fact that she's not powered. So I don't know what they're going to do. I do feel like they're going to have to use a cameo or two from somebody.
But again, not being powered doesn't mean that the movie itself can't be good.
It could be a good movie, you're right, but it's just like
most of the best superhero movies are not powered superheroes. Thor is powered. None of his movies have grossed $1 billion.
No, but Iron Man's suit.
Iron Man is still human,
right? But most of his actions were in the suit.
Which was the best Iron Man movie to you? 1, 2, or 3?
All right, so I would have said 3 if it wasn't for that stupid twist.
So you're gonna say 1?
Yeah.
And 1 was the most grounded in reality one of the whole series.
Because 3 didn't make sense. It would have been 3, but nah, 1 is better. Yeah.
Because 1 was the one where it really felt like a guy in a metal suit doing all of this.
Right.
Then it got to the point where he has nanotech and it just feels like a CGI monstrosity. But 1 was the most grounded and realistic feeling one. And you just said it was the best one. Batman is a lot of people's favorite superhero. You just said earlier, I don't like Superman. He's too overpowered. But he's powered, right?
He's too overpowered.
So you may find Batman more interesting. He's more grounded. Therefore, your movie is going to be able to be grounded in reality and you're invested in the character.
But you also the same one that said I don't want to watch a whole movie about Law and Order. Like
I agree with that.
But it's like I don't.
But I never said I'm not a fan of Batman. I'm not a fan of the Dark Knight Nolan trilogy.
Right.
It is a great shot movie, but I do not like it as a Batman movie.
I don't know
because it is not a good Batman movie at all. Period. Yeah. If it was a Joker origin, The Dark Knight would be phenomenal. If it was a Joker movie, cool. But it's not that. It's not a good Batman portrayal, in my opinion. It's not a good Batman movie.
Ben Affleck was the best Batman.
I agree. From a fight standpoint, I agree. Some say Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton, I feel this, but because of the dated technology, I don't feel it's a fair comparison. He didn't have a lot of the abilities that Bale and Affleck benefited from in terms of budget and in terms of effects that we have now. But again, most of the movies that are critically acclaimed and that tend to do Avengers movies aside, that tend to do the best and have the most critical acclaim are the ones that are more grounded in reality because it's easier to balance a relatable story and the action can still be done in a way that's entertaining, but in a way that comes off as, wow, this can really be pulled off. That's what makes Batman so relatable.
But it's like basically with the Black Widow, you're basically saying this movie's going to be, all right, we just had Endgame, and now you're releasing Black Widow when we all know she died in Endgame. So basically this is a prequel. So me watching her, maybe this is just a me thing. Mm-hmm. Me watching you in this movie, knowing where this is all going to go for me, kills the thrill. But since you were saying in the previous episode that we did, that they're introducing a multiverse thing, I would love to see, maybe they might have that element to it with the Black Widow. Maybe. Because some people are saying how they could possibly bring her back with the timeline.
And I don't want to see her brought back. I don't think she should be brought back. Like I said, I don't think the timing of the Black Widow movie is great.
No.
At all. But I think a Black Widow movie can be very good. Scarlett Johansson has a fan base, for one.
She do.
She's a draw. The Black Widow character has a fan base, for one. And even when you look at people that are somewhat powered, Blade is immortal, but his movies are still grounded in reality.
But he's
aside from the fact that
he's
killing vampires and he regenerates.
Yeah, he regenerates.
The most of the stuff you like from Blade are things you can do in a Black Widow movie. You said you like the fight scenes, you like the badassery. That has nothing to do with him being powered. The only thing he can do that obviously he can jump from building to building and jump from high places and land. Yeah, Black Widow's not doing that.
And he
can jump and shoot something. Spider-Man, popular character, right? He's powered, but his movies are still very much grounded compared to like a Superman or Thor. You know what I'm saying? He's swinging around New York City. He's living in a place where he can't even afford to live in. He can't afford rent. You know what I'm saying? That's relatable. What's more relatable than that? You can't even afford to. You Spider-Man and you can barely make rent. You know what I mean? Like what's more relatable than that? We know that struggle.
But then you also know how I feel a little bit about Scarlett Johansson when it comes down to action, like her facial range sometimes in movies. It's like, I feel like she's as good as when she could play off of people. Mm-hmm. I don't know how she'll be holding it down by herself. Like, it's easy to say, like, oh, Black Widow is like, Black Widow, that's Scarlett Johansson said Black Widow, same person. It's easy to say that this character is love when you could play against a Tony Stark, you could play against Captain America, or you got Thor in the room.
Did she not have expressive emotion in Endgame?
She just always has the same kind of stoic face.
Did she not show emotion in Endgame?
When she was about to die, yes.
Even when she was sitting at the table crying over Hawkeye. The reason why that character was so stoic is because she held so much inside.
And I wish she would have just...
But this is why I'm saying, this is why I feel the Black Widow origin story can work. And it can be good. And it's something that can be fresh.
The reason why it's like, maybe because I've seen Scarlett Johansson in other movies, it's kind of like, I seen her in this movie called The Other Bowling Girl or something like that. It was like this old ancient type movie or whatever. But it's like seeing her acting that, portraying somebody who's like sad and like heartbroken and like, then to see your performance in like the series in MCU, I'm like, I know you could give me a little bit more for some reason. I just know you could do a little bit more. But this is the face you want to go with? Okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, fine. And then the wigs in the show, in the movie, all right, like, no. Like, it takes me out. Maybe that's a woman thing. Like, also, like, it just takes me out. But it's like, just,
Let me also go here.
Right.
You're a Luke Cage fan, right?
I am.
Who's your favorite villain in Luke Cage?
Cottonmouth.
Was it the superpowered Diamondback?
No, but also no, it wasn't Diamondback. Diamondback wasn't even superpowered.
But he had a powered suit that allowed him to go toe to toe with Luke Cage.
And I like
Bushmaster.
But
who did you like better in Luke Cage season 1?
Cottonmouth.
Why?
The presence.
But it was also, again, grounded in reality.
It was
What do people say is the best Netflix MCU show?
Daredevil.
Who? Right? Who?
Yeah.
What's Daredevil? It's grounded in reality.
But he has heightened senses.
But he's still human. He can still die with a bullet just like Black Widow. He does shit that humans shouldn't be able to do.
He got cut up.
Yeah, and he survives shit that humans should be able to do. But still, Daredevil, all 3 seasons, phenomenal fight scenes, great gory blood. That's another thing, a debate of whether Black Widow should be rated R or not.
Once again, MCU just needs to do it. I get they're owned by Disney, but come on. Like, some things you gotta give a little. You have to make at least some of these rated R. It is what it is. Because, like, eventually, like, the only reason why Daredevil will work is because they released the chain on the gore of it all.
Again. And the Daredevil movie, the one that came out with Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck years ago, corny. Corny. Ooh. But because you grounded it more and you went with a more dark tone for the series, it worked. And you took a character we all found corny. And you made him badass. Take the Punisher, right? Does the Punisher have any abilities?
No, he's just a savage.
He just survives a lot of shit.
But it's also rated R-ish.
But it's also grounded in reality. My point is, you don't have to be powered to have an interesting
But you can't
movie.
compare
The
movie
more
and series.
I can.
How?
Because the storytelling has to be even better for a series than a movie.
Right, but you also have more time to develop the arc. You mean to tell me I'm going to have to sit through 3 hours if it's
No,
not
I understand.
good? Because Captain Marvel wasn't great.
Here's what I'm saying. You don't have to develop Black Widow because we've seen her for years in other movies. That's my point. She's already developed. All we have to... Now, when we see her backstory, we already know the character. By now, you know if you're a fan of Black Widow's character or not. So their job is not going to be to make you a fan. They're just telling you a story that we don't know because we don't know her backstory. Captain Marvel gave you a backstory of a character we never seen, heard of, or gave a shit about in the first place. We only went to see it because we were tricked into believing that it tied into Endgame in a way we had to see to get.
And
it didn't. But that's what I'm saying. Black Panther. We learned about his homeland and everything, but we were presented him in a previous movie that depicted him being badass, that made us care about him. Black Widow has been developed since Iron Man 2. We already invested. We already like her or we don't. We already know if we do or we don't. So their job is not going to be to get us invested. Their job is going to be to tell us the origin of what makes Black Widow tick. Much like what we said they may do with Blade.
But then why do I care about that at this point?
Because if you're a Black Widow fan, it's something that would interest you.
Yeah, because I'm like, why do I care about her origin story at this point? We done moved past that like years after that.
And that's what I said. I do agree with the placement. The timing is a little off. If she should have been...
She should have got her movie after 2 of Iron Man or after the first Avenger.
Now, putting Black Widow out in 2020 against Wonder Woman 84, I don't know if that is a wise decision to do, because I feel like Wonder Woman 84 can do so much, and that's the best character that DC, in my opinion, has in terms of the live action movies that they've done. But you like Aquaman too? I thought Aquaman was better than I thought it was going to be, but Aquaman I don't think was better than Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Wonder Woman was, in my opinion, by far the best DCEU movie. And I'm excited for Wonder Woman 84. I'm looking forward to that.
I am.
And I feel like with Black Widow, that's why I feel like you should have done this years ago, but they did not trust that a female-led film
I just don't get why they're doing it right now. They shouldn't do it at
Because
all.
now you're trying to push more of an agenda than the character. You're using the character to push the agenda of diversity. You're using that character to push the agenda that they stand for. That's why they're doing Shang-Chi for the Chinese audience. That's why they're doing Black Widow for the female audience. That's why they're doing Black Panther for the Black audience.
This is the thing. People were saying, I remember I read somewhere they said instead of Black Widow, why didn't we get like a Storm origin movie?
Because Marvel didn't own, MCU didn't own the rights to that character.
Storm?
Mm-hmm. Fox did.
But they got X-Men now.
Well, now they have the rights to the character, but they didn't own the rights to them.
Because somebody was like, I would have rather see a Storm origin movie than, because she's married, everybody knows she's married.
Now they can do that. Now they can do a Storm movie.
Because it's like, I'm supposed to watch this prequel.
If you want to be even, in my opinion, I thought it would have been dope. They could have introduced Storm in Black Panther 2.
They really could.
You know what I'm saying? But now when you have the character of Nakia, who will probably be in Black Panther 2, I don't think they'll do that.
So you don't think they're going to go the route with him and Storm being married? No. Oh, come on.
Not with the Nakia character, no.
Unless she dies.
I don't think that's going to happen.
It would have been better if somebody died in Black Panther.
Someone did die.
Who died?
Because he didn't want it. He knew death would be better than bondage.
Oh, come on. Be quiet. I'm talking about like if somebody else died. Like somebody important in Black Panther. But it's like, I don't know. We shall see with this Black Widow movie. I am interested. I'm not convinced about it because of the timing of this movie. And now you're saying this is the first movie that's going to launch Phase 4?
I believe so, yes. I believe Black Widow is going to be...
So if this is not good, what does that do for the rest of the universe? Because honestly, everybody's already kind of shaky about Phase 4, seeing that we're not getting our characters from Phase 1, 2, and 3.
There's nothing Marvel can do that's going to feel big following Endgame. Spider-Man Far From Home made $1 billion, but it doesn't feel anywhere near as big as Endgame. Endgame is the biggest
so you're saying let it go
of all time. All time. There's nowhere to go but down.
So you think we're at the end?
No, I don't think we're at the end, but I think we're at peaks and valleys. I feel like we just had our biggest peak, and I feel like now we're going to be here, so we got to build back up. You have to introduce new characters, and you have to introduce characters and build them back up. If you're going to do, whenever we get Avengers 5, it's going to be a different look Avengers, probably led by Captain Marvel or Spider-Man or wherever they're going to go. But you have to build up a new baddie, a new big threat, the likes of maybe Galactus.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So you have to build that up. So it's going to take time, but it's a slow build. So Black Widow, I feel like it's just a movie you're going to put out to kind of squeeze a little bit more out of that character.
The nostalgic, maybe she'll bring... Do you think, there was a rumor, do you think that Tony Stark is going to make a cameo on Black Widow?
No.
I don't know. Because somebody was like, maybe they might... Because they got to do something. It just can't just be her unless they're going to...
I don't think Tony Stark will make a cameo on Black Widow.
What about Iron Man? I mean, Iron Man. What about Captain America?
Captain America is a possibility. Honestly, Bucky's a possibility.
This is true.
Because the Winter Soldier program could have been taking place around the same time with Black Widow, but just the spy program Black Widow was in, there's so much you can do with that storyline. That is what I feel is intriguing about it as a standalone product.
True.
So I feel like as a standalone product.
And I want to know what happened in Budapest.
See, there
they
you
keep
go.
Bringing it up.
So there you go.
If they talk about Budapest.
So here's how you end the debate. Are you going to see Black Widow?
I am going to see Black Widow.
But period. That's it.
I'm going to see it.
That's it. So you're going to see it. All of this, but you're still going to see it.
I mean, because if I'm not liking it, you know where I'm going.
It doesn't matter, but you're still going to see it.
I have to. I want to know what this is going to tie into. I just don't want to be tricked again like Captain Marvel.
No, because you already know this character. And you're going to see
it.
But
I want to know if it's going to tie into Phase 4 in any way, shape, or form. Like, why am I seeing this? This is the question.
Because you want to see it.
Oh, whatever. So, that is how we feel about Black Widow. Please let us know how you feel about Black Widow or anything in the Phase 4 universe of Marvel. And as always, until next time, peace.